The scary war to destroy your attention span. Now, on a metaphysical level, attention is actually the currency of God. And whether you realize this or not, there is an actual agenda to quite literally destroy your attention. Because attention is a currency of God, if you have a decreased attention span, then essentially you're bankrupt of the currency of God. And that currency of God is essentially what allows for us to exchange realities. And in this video, I'm not only going to point out to you how the destruction of your attention span is hindering your ability to materialize your desired reality, because as I say always, spirituality without the ability to control your reality is vanity. I'm also going to be showing you how to increase your focus. I'm also going to show you how to redirect your focus, and in the instances where you feel like your old frequency shows up and quite literally fucks up your life, I'm going to show you how to alchemize that particular condition of reality so you can energetically shift in what you consider to be the lows of your reality and move into the direction of your desired reality. Now, as you can see, you guys can't tell me I didn't cook on this drawing.
Yeah, that drawing is cool.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the best one.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is really the best one. Like, 2 swords. It's a sword fight. Pause. And that was crazy. And obviously, bro's on his knees. Pause again. Now, let's get into it.
You know what? My camera identifies faces, and it identified that drawing as a face.
Really?
Well done. Well done.
What can I say, man? What can I say?
Maybe I need to upgrade camera.
Most definitely. You gives me a feeling that
You know what? I think you've made it.
felt before. How come?
Someone said raw next question.
Raw next question.
Yep.
Was there even a first question?
She created the question.
Niggas are answering questions that weren't even asked. You know, women online are actually unhinged, you know. Like, if you
Quite
ever
scary
see the comments, like I saw a chick comment once, a tear ran down my leg.
That is, you know, the first time I saw that, it took me a minute to understand.
Yeah, of course. Like, bro, I had comments months ago from girls saying Nero's the type to talk you through it. And I'm like, I didn't even know what that meant.
Jesus.
Can you imagine?
Talk you through it.
Can you imagine? Okay. So, what you guys have to understand is that quite literally, I believe it is said that particularly, especially for Gen Z, the average attention span has now decreased to 2.7 minutes. Whether you realize this or not, the 21st century world that we live in, there are actually corporations, companies, and people with PhDs and master degrees that are quite literally studying how to psychologically capture your attention but then minimize it at the same time. You have to understand one thing in particular. A decrease in attention span essentially minimizes the ability for you to pour energy into anything that is worth meaning in your life. Anything that requires a particular meaning of life requires a certain level of attention. Through a decrease of your attention span, you actually minimize your ability to pour into the aspects of your life that have particular meaning. And this goes from anywhere from social media to movies, even movies that are curated in this, what year are we in, 2025?
Yep.
Movies are quite literally curated with the intention that the viewer is actually going to be on their phone while they're watching the film. Whether you realize this or not, from Silicon Valley to all of these other corporations, people are quite literally thinking, how can we capture people's attention? Not only how can we capture their attention, let's continuously decrease it, because one thing in particular happens with a decreased attention span, and it goes back to what I just said. A decreased attention span means you don't have energy to pour meaning into any aspect of your life. And if we attribute meaning in this particular instance to knowledge of self, understanding the bricks that built you to be the individual who you are is a prerequisite to understanding the bricks that comprise your reality. And if you don't have the ability to pour attention into yourself, for example, you then actually don't possess the ability to recreate your reality. The whole point of anything spiritual, and I keep saying this, spirituality without the ability to control your reality is vanity. I don't understand why you'd want to elevate yourself and your consciousness if you want to just continuously play an ego game. And I can't emphasize this enough. everything in this 21st century is quite literally curated to decrease your attention span, which means that you're going to have to know how to mitigate and combat that in order to possess the capability of pouring energy into the meaningful things in your life, such as your mind. Think about it like this: how do you have more attention for social media than yourself? Ironically, you probably understand these trends more than you understand yourself. And you should really let that marinate, because it's not until you possess the capability of centering attention and how can I say this? An extreme amount of attention to yourself, you're going to be unaware to the inner workings of yourself. And any particular degree of unawareness to the internal is always going to lead to confusion in the external. You might be doing all of this stuff and watching all of these videos, but then when you go out into your world, you're confused why certain things are still happening. And it's because you actually haven't centralized enough attention to the inner workings of yourself, but you understand every single fucking trend that comes up on your phone. Don't lie to me, nigga. You're scrolling, flicking, seeing all of these trends and all of this. I don't even know some of the trends sometimes. I don't even know most of like influences and stuff that goes on. I'm always being updated and stuff like that. And it's because you're going to have to take certain measures, certain steps that allow you to centralize your attention. Because I tell you this, whether you realize this or not, and this is something I'm going to touch upon in the video, attention being the currency of God, it is quite literally the very first step to vibration, which every vibration, when it gains momentum, becomes a frequency, and every frequency becomes a reality. But don't worry, relax. You're going to get some. Just stay with me now.
I realize I know what I want this year. I want shoulders like yours.
Okay. Bro, I must have posted like a photo on my IG of like the shoulder press that I was doing. Somebody was like, "Who are you training to fight Thanos?" You guys are dragging it, man. My shoulders literally aren't even that big. You lot are dragging it.
Be for real.
I'm serious. Guys, I really can't stress the importance of attention. Attention is actually a tool that you don't realize is being used against you. And I don't mean by the matrix. I actually mean by your old frequency. Because if your old frequency has the capability of being able to sway your attention, then it will take you on a detour straight back to your old frequency, which ultimately will put you back into your old reality. And whether you realize this or not, you're actually making mistakes that you're even unaware of. And the whole point of this game is about understanding that in the same way that a ship that has holes will eventually begin to sink, we're filling all the holes possible. Pause. What kind of pen should I use? Green or red? Green or red? Cool. So, as I mentioned, attention is the currency of God. And what I mean by that is this. When we're talking about currency, I need you to understand something. There's two particular routes that you can go when it comes to your attention. As I said to you, attention is the beginning point of vibration. Vibration is preceded by attention. Vibration is preceded by attention. Vibration, when it gains energetic momentum, becomes a frequency. And frequency is the immaterialized version of reality. Every frequency must become a reality, and every reality is a frequency. So if we begin to see these chain of events that lead to the materialization of reality from a point of attention being the starting point, number one, it is important to understand where you are either investing this or spending this. And this is something to be very, very mindful of, because I'll tell you this, most people, they spend their attention. What you need to do with the currency of God is to invest it. If you don't possess the capability of investing your attention, then you will not get the return of your desired reality. That's a bar that down. And if you keep spending your attention frivolously and in a wasteful manner, the return on investment will always be terrible. People wonder why their realities don't change, and it's because they're unaware of where they are spending their attention. And if we're to conceptualize entering your desired reality, the only way you're going to enter your desired reality is if you first invest the currency of God, which is attention. It's been commonly said that where attention goes, energy flows. Where attention goes, energy flows. And as cliche as it is a foundational truth that you need to understand. More often than not, the simplest of ideas actually possess the most power. It's not about anything being complicated. Hence why I like to simplify my videos. Simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'm not here trying to show you niggas how smart I am and win your approval. I could give a fuck. What I care about is giving you this information in a simple way that allows you to implement it to begin to enter your desired reality. And I can't stress the importance of attention. Attention is the currency of God, because what you don't understand is attention is really energy. Another way to conceptualize it is consciousness. I want you to imagine something. Those of you that are familiar with a VR headset, think about it like this. So when you put on a virtual reality headset, essentially you've entered an entirely new world. And it's actually your placement of attention that determines your viewpoint of what you see in that world. Now, think about humanity like this. Humans were given virtual reality headsets that they forgot that they were wearing. That's a bar, write that down. What you don't realize around you is that when you're in a virtual reality headset and you turn to the right, what you're doing is rendering the world into view. That world doesn't yet particularly exist, and quantum mechanics alludes to the same concept when we're looking at things such as the observer experiments, the idea that subatomic particles react to the consciousness or the placement of your attention. Something that doesn't yet exist in your world doesn't exist because you first haven't seen it. And I can't stress this enough when I'm talking to you from a point of independently to your personal reality. In the same way that when you're wearing a VR headset, all you can see is in front of you. Technically, nothing has yet existed because your attention hasn't been centralized towards it. But the moment that you turn to your left in this virtual world, you begin to see things render in. The moment you turn to the right, things render in. This works the same way with frequencies and particular conditions of realities. It is actually your sustained attention that actually sustains that particular reality, and that's our bar, write that down. Now, whatever particular circumstance you're in, let's say that you're broke or you want to change your health, or you want to get with a partner, or you want to get a promotion at work, you need to understand that the only reason you're continuously experiencing that particular reality, reverse engineer it. If you're in an unwanted reality, then that means the beginning point, it's not frequency that you should focus on, it's not vibration you should focus on, it's attention you should focus on. And that means whether you realize this or not, your attention is on an unwanted condition of reality. And here's the thing. Why do we find it much more easier to focus on what we don't want as opposed to what we do want? And ironically, it's the particular focus that you place on what you don't want that sustains what you don't want. Because I'm going to explain something to you, and you need to understand how the universe works, because if you're not able to speak the language of the universe isn't going to understand you. The universe isn't registering how many fucking times you tell yourself you love yourself in the mirror, and how you're the most beautiful person, and how rich you are, and all of this and all of that. It's not registering how many times you sit there with your legs crossed, with your fingers like this on your knees. It's not registering any of that. And until you can understand what the universe registers, everything you do will be in vain. Hence why it's important you understand one phrase in particular, 3 words. If you can understand these 3 words, your entire reality will never be the same. And I'm not exaggerating. So listen to what I'm about to say.
On a side note, real quick, someone said my grandma was putting witchcraft on me. Help.
Help! Your grandma's putting witchcraft on you or me to help. You're cooked. Wrap it up, man. It's over. It's really over. Your grandma. Nah. Everybody knows, like, an old woman's prayers are like, you know what I'm saying? If your grandma's praying for you, you're protected. She's doing witchcraft, you're finished. You're cooked. It's over. It's over, bro. I'm sorry. I don't have the facilities. All jokes aside, one thing that I have to get you to understand is that, especially when we look at humans in particular, there's a particular concept known as non-duality. Non-duality is the concept that we are all one. On a quantum level, as we transcend this 3rd dimensional realm and transcend the space-time illusions of separations and polarity, each individual person is actually one person. Every book was written by the same author, every bridge was built by the same person, every song composed was made by one mind. And I need you to understand that. Now, once you understand that, you begin to understand that on a quantum level, humans communicate. We communicate verbally in this 3rd dimensional realm, but as we transcend illusion, which we temporarily do, we also communicate energetically and mentally. More often than not, it's actually your grandma's witchcraft that you have witchcraft yourself with. And let me rephrase that. Nobody can bewitch you without your permission. That's not to say that nobody can't do nothing to you, but your acceptance of that particular idea is what actually allows that particular frequency to germinate in your reality and then materialize in front of you. And I need you to understand this: nobody can fuck with me energetically. If you hold that with conviction, you will be spiritually protected. Niggas do a whole bunch of things. They go to church for 12 hours and ask for spiritual protection. They drink hot oil and they use holy water and all of this without understanding that all of those things exist within this third dimensional realm. And they're actually nothing more than simply symbols that are meant to generate a particular degree of emotional conviction to enter your subconscious mind. But if you can enter that particular emotional conviction by just maintaining the idea that no matter what anybody can do to me, it's not going to do nothing, that's ultimately going to be the barrier that actually prevents that particular witchcraft, because the mental realm is the causal realm and this physical plane is the realm of effect. And if your grandma's witchcraft wants to affect you, it can only affect you in the physical plane. But the physical plane being effect, which means that can only take place to you if you have no defenses in the mental plane, which is the causal realm. If you put those defenses in the mental plane, I promise you can't touch you. Now that's a long situation though, man. That is a long situation. Grandma, that's long.
Your comment section's weird as well. Someone goes, I'm a manifest to marry you, Nero.
Okay.
I'm a man, by the way. Yes.
Listen, I'm not into telling niggas what's impossible again. I'll never tell you that. But that's not happening. Hang it up. Wrap it up. That ain't happening. Anyways, focus. The 3 words that you need to begin to understand. Wait, just write them actually. What we are focusing on here is principles and foundations. Because if you do not understand the foundations of how you work, you do not understand how the foundations of the universe work, which means you will ultimately be taking L's at every single time. These are the 3 words that you cannot live without. And I can't stress this. I really can't stress this enough. And you're going to see through the examples why. And those 3 words is: attention is alignment. I repeat, attention is alignment. That's a bar. Write that down. What do I mean by that? Attention is ultimately the currency of God. If we're to conceptualize God not as some personality sat in the sky, because in order to have a persona, you have to exist within this 3rd dimensional realm, and God is above this 3rd dimensional realm, which means the persona comes from the etymological origins of the word mask. God does not have a mask because God is above it. God is a particular state of consciousness and energy, an impersonal energy, as stated in Acts 10:34. God is no respecter of persons. In the same manner that you can expect gravity to work as a law, gravity won't give you a credit score before deciding that you're going to hit the ground. Gravity isn't going to ask if you're a nice guy or a nice girl before you hit the ground. It's going to work independently. And God is the same manner. You can conceptualize God as a particular degree of the highest level of consciousness, the substance of reality, in the same way that electricity has always existed before humans possessed the capability of harnessing it. The individuals that had the capability of harnessing God were considered the Christ, the spiritual masters. We're talking Buddha, we're talking Krishna, we're talking Ea of Indra, we're talking about Thoth, we're talking about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. These individuals are able to harness God and extract from that high level of consciousness and then materialize it down and give it to us. Now, attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. Attention is alignment. Say it with me. Attention is alignment.
Attention is alignment.
Good boy, good boy. Now,
You digging?
because attention is alignment, I need you to understand one thing in particular. It goes back to what we said at the start. You have to understand that where attention goes, energy flows. The easiest way to conceptualize energy, when people say that, they don't really actually define what that particularly means. I need you to understand that when we're talking about energy, what I'm essentially talking about is a vibration. Your attention is the first step, remember, in reality. That's a bar that down. My attention is the first chain of events, the first causal factor in the chain of events that lead to the materialization of my reality. That's a bar that down. Attention leads to vibration. Vibration leads to frequency, and frequency leads to reality. Now, the universe registers your attention. When I say alignment, I mean aligning with the condition of reality that you experience, because reality is nothing more than a condition. Whatever you're going through, it is nothing more than a condition that is built upon the alignment that the universe has registered. The universe isn't going to register the things that you say necessarily. And what I mean by that is that attention ultimately is more powerful than any technique. Please understand what I'm saying. Attention is more powerful than any technique. And that's a bar that down. And I say that because how often do we feel like we've been doing this work and we're doing everything that we need to, but it's still not fucking working? And it's due to the fact that we're misunderstanding the, how do I say this, the order of priority in the materialization of our reality. And that's a bar that down. You may be doing all these books, reading all these books, making all these notes, watching Nero, doing these techniques, but something's still not working. You're still encountering the same conditions of reality. And I can guarantee you it's because of your attention. Your attention is ultimately where you align to in the universe. What do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. So let's say you go to a foreign country where you don't speak the language, they don't speak your language. You barely understand each other, you walk into a restaurant. You walk into the restaurant, the waiter takes you to the table. You sit down, he gives you a menu. Now in this menu, they just have pictures of, the food. You don't understand the language. He says whatever in his language. You assume that he's just gonna be like, yeah, I'll be back. I'll let you, decide what you want. Cool. He goes away. He comes back. You open the menu, and you see the salmon. You see the steak. I'm sorry for the spiritual niggas. I know, alkaline life. I'm sorry. You see the steak, and you say, You point to the steak and say, I really don't want the steak. He's looking at you, you're like, I really don't want the steak. I really don't want the steak. And he's like, okay. Then you close the menu and say, I'd like the salmon. What the fuck do you think this nigga's gonna bring you? What's he gonna bring you, AJ?
I was not listening, but he'll bring you what you fucking was pointing at.
Precisely. He's ultimately going to bring you what you were placing your attention on, despite your own intentions. And this is a bar that down. Attention is more powerful than intention. Ooh, that's a bar that down. You may have the intentions to enter a particular reality of prosperity, peace, calm, abundance, promotion in your career, love in your romantic life, but ultimately your attention is more powerful than your intention. And what you don't realize is that you can have the fucking intentions everywhere in the world, the most intention in the world to do better. But if your attention is fixated on something else, that's ultimately what the universe is going to align you to every single fucking time. Every single time. Attention is more powerful than intention. Damn, that's a bar. Now let me highlight what I mean even more.
Someone messaged you saying, what you be eating in the UK, beans on potatoes or salt and pepper chips?
Do you know one thing I realized? Is that British food actually doesn't have a good reputation with Americans and anywhere else outside the world, because it is not good. I'll be so honest with you. Like, British food is like jacket potato,
that
cheese and beans, like fish fingers. Like, I can't lie, it's not it, man. I'll be real, it's not it. It's not it. But most of us in the UK, especially those of us that are somewhat, from a different country originally, we actually just eat our own food. So like Caribbean food, African food, Chinese food, Indian food, like more time, that's what you're gonna eat here. Like,
it's true.
A Sunday roast is nice though sometimes, but you gotta niggify. You know what I'm saying? You gotta season it up a bit.
For real.
Like, British food's actually nice if it's niggified. Like, that's the truth. You know what I'm saying?
I said niggified.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, so to the point that I was making, let me use the brand. To the point that I was making earlier, as I said, attention is more powerful than intention. Let's say that for whatever reason, you want a particular degree of prosperity. If you want prosperity, understand when we talk about wanting, the universe registers wanting as attention. So wherever you place your attention is what you're saying to the universe that you want. You think what you want is what you're saying you want, what you think you want necessarily. The universe registers your attention as your want. So let's say you say, oh, I want a particular degree of prosperity. I want a promotion in my job. I want a promotion in my job. But everything you're focusing on is how they overlook you, how they don't appreciate you, how they prefer fucking Steven, whatever his fucking name is. Ultimately, what's going to be the reality that you set in motion from a point of vibratory signature? That vibratory signature, when it gains momentum, it becomes a frequency. That frequency ultimately becomes a reality. And then you don't get promotion, someone else gets it. Or let's talk about in your business. Let's say in your business, you say, I want more clients, I want to increase my revenue. But you're focusing on the fact that business isn't as good as it used to be. Why did they have to change this up? Things used to be easier. Not enough is coming in. Your attention is your alignment. What are you ultimately going to set in motion from a point of vibratory signature? Energetically, you're going to set that in, gains momentum, frequency, reality. What about in the context of love and relationships? You say, I really want a nice partner. I really just want a great partner. I want somebody for me. But what do you focus on when you see online? You see all them nigga shows about pop the balloon and fucking smash your past. And you see the absolute worst representations of romantic relationships and you focus on it and you say, men are fucking trash, you know. Men are trash. Oh, these girls, they're all hoes, man. Like, the women just aren't like they used to be anymore. Ultimately, what are you focusing on? And that focus energetically sets in motion the vibratory signature related and resonant with that particular degree of attention, which then leads to a frequency. That frequency eventually has to materialize into a solid condition that we call a reality. And then here's the funniest part about you niggas. The funniest part about you niggas is that when it materializes in your reality, you say, oh my God, this is the truth. Without realizing that the only reason it's the truth is because your subconscious mind accepted it as true. And you can extrapolate this to anything. If a belief doesn't particularly serve you, then it's only there to control you. If where you're placing your attention doesn't serve you, then it's only there to control you. And I need you to be extremely conscious about where you're placing your attention to. I can't emphasize this enough. You have to be extremely conscious, because until you're conscious with where you are investing the currency of God, you will continuously be unaware of the conditions and circumstances and the events and the people in your reality that you're meeting about and then complaining about. And I can't emphasize this enough.
I know while you're explaining this, all the women are just thinking, Aaron, yeah, that's what fast.
I really can't emphasize focus enough. Attention, focus, they're the same thing. Now, you're like, Nero, I'm struggling, like my attention span, like, and it's funny because somebody actually said that I'm so grateful that your videos are so long because it's actually allowing me to build my attention span back up. Do you know that there's niggas out here, guys, I'll be real with you, I don't give a fuck how long my videos last. There's no timer in here, there's no clock in here. There's literally my bookshelf over there, AJ sat over there. I don't even know how long this shit takes sometimes. When I talk, it feels like 10 minutes and we stop and I'm like, AJ, how long was that? He's like, 53 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what?
Even sometimes I don't pay attention. Because there's times you've asked me, I'm like, I don't even know, bro. There's about 40 though.
Real talk. And like I said, I'm going to give you practical things that you can do to not only build your attention or focus, attention span, whatever you want to call it, build that back up, but then metaphysically put you in a condition where you are actually utilizing a tool that you have that is being weaponized against you by your old frequency. Yeah, because your old frequency isn't up. And ultimately it wants to continuously stay around. Why does my old frequency want to stick around, Nero? Well, you have to understand that your old frequency is nothing more than a spiritual doppelganger of you. If you have to imagine yourself on the spiritual plane, that is the version of you. And that old frequency is built and sustained by the emotions of everything that resonates with your old reality. So let's say you're trying to shift away from poverty, toxicity, frustration, anger, depression, no matter what it is, those particular emotions are actually energy emotions, and those energy emotions emit a vibration. That vibration is a frequency. So ultimately your old frequency represents frequencies that are associated with a particular degree of negativity. And because it was born out of you, the creation of your mind, go back to the first law of the universe is entirely mental. That also begins to extrapolate itself to the spiritual plane. The creation of that entity, that version of you, was born out the old emotion that you're experiencing and the experiences and the thoughts that you continuously repeated again and again and again. If you think about it like taking a stone and dropping a stone on the floor, every time you have a thought that's associated with negativity, the average person has between 6,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. And if you imagine how many of those are negative and repeated, imagine dropping a stone every single day. Weeks, months, years, that turns into a fucking mountain. And then it becomes an entity that was born out of your creation, but it's a blind entity. It's a blind intelligence. It doesn't hate you. It just wants to continue staying alive, because why wouldn't it? You fucking made it. So then as you begin to pull away, it's like, nah. Where are you going? And then every time you feel like you're doing better, something smacks you in the face. Each and every single time you feel like you take 3 steps forward, you go 3 steps back. And it's because you're unaware of how your old frequency is actually energetically keeping you chained up within its handcuffs. And it's not until you actually begin to understand how to, let's say, checkmate it, that you will actually begin to be not a step behind it as you are every single time. Now, so as I said, it's important that I write this again so you can just understand the severity of what I'm trying to convey here. Attention is the beginning point of reality, because your attention leads to your vibration leads to a frequency, and every frequency must become a reality. Now, in this instance, there's two places you can place your attention. You can place your attention either, no, not that pen. Perfect. You can either place your attention on a unwanted condition of reality or a wanted condition of reality. Those are your two choices every single time that you encounter reality. You only have 2 paths. 2. You can either place it on a unwanted point of reality or a wanted point of reality. Unwanted, 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 wanted. Whoops. Understand that unwanted particular attention point will then lead to the vibration of unwantedness, an unwanted condition of reality that will ultimately lead to a frequency that is unwanted, and that will ultimately lead to a condition of reality that is unwanted. And then you're like, why is it not working despite everything that I've been doing? You're not realizing how your attention is actually being weaponized against you by your old frequency. Whereas if you begin with a wanted focal point of your attention, that attention turns into a vibration of wanted, resonate with wanted, that turns into a frequency, resonate with wanted, and that eventually turns into a reality that is ultimately wanted. This is really as simple as it gets. It's really this simple. It is really this simple. Don't allow your old frequency to make simplistic ideas appear incomplete, because that's what it's going to do. You're going to be like, is it really this simple? Yes, it really is this simple. And going back to the examples that I gave, with every single time that you're presented a reality, you're not realizing that you have a choice. Even if the worst thing happens to you, you're presented with a choice, an energetic choice of some sort. And that energetic choice can either lead to a path that sustains a reality that is wanted or unwanted. In the same way that waiter comes and gives you a menu, when you experience a particular condition or a circumstance or an event in your reality, what you need to realize is that you've been given a menu, but you think you've been given a choice. So let's say something goes wrong in your reality. Let's say you're trying to start being broke, you're trying to move to a particular degree of prosperity, and you get a fucking parking ticket. You're like, fuck, I got a parking ticket for whatever reason. This is terrible. You think that what reality is presenting to you has already a choice solidified. That is to be frustrated, annoyed, and to think, what the fuck is going on? This is terrible. What you've been given is a menu. But your old frequency will make it seem as if the choice has already been made for you. And it's because it's made the choice for you, because it wants to take you on a detour right back to the old reality. And that's what borrow that down. What you've been given, when any particular condition or circumstance in reality, please understand, you have been given a menu. You have the choice of selecting what you want, but you don't select what you want with intention. You select it with attention. So in that particular instance where you've been given a parking ticket, you're going to have to do something that's very, very important. And this taps into what is known as the hermetic law of neutralization. This is alchemy at its finest. So make sure you pay very close attention to what I'm about to say, because until you have the capability of transmuting reality, your reality will stay the same. And that's, I'll borrow that down. And every beginning point of transmutation first begins with awareness. And it's awareness of where you are misplacing and spending your attention as opposed to investing your attention. In that particular instance where a parking ticket gives you a fine, right? A ticket. You have 2 choices. You can focus on the fact that, fuck, I got a parking ticket. How am I going to pay this? This came at the worst time. This is absolutely terrible. Fuck the system. The government's a bitch. It's a matrix, and all of this, which ultimately energetically leads you to one place. sustaining the very same reality that you're trying to escape without realizing that you were given a menu. What else can I choose, Nero? You can choose to focus on an unwanted. You can choose to focus on something very, very important. Let me use purple. Use purple. And pay very close attention to this. Oh, that's a bit thin. It's terrible. That's terrible, isn't it?
That's horror.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrible. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry about that. That's just terrible. The pen is very, very thin. Now, in every unwanted condition or circumstance or event in reality is the hidden seed of wanted. And this is a bar. Please write this down. At face value, in the worst situations or events or circumstances or events of your life, it's going to make it seem as if a choice has already been made for you, that you have no choice but to accept what this particular frequency is trying to give you, without realizing that you have a menu choice, a selection of two choices, either wanted or unwanted. In every unwanted reality exists the energetic opposite of a wanted condition of reality. How do I find that, Nero? It's going to be hidden. And so I wrote it. It's not going to be obvious. The most obvious reaction to adversity is a trick of the old frequency. Damn, that was a bar. That's old frequency, not OnlyFans. Calm down, horny niggas. That's old frequency, not OnlyFans. AJ, you're drooling. You're drooling.
Get this nigga out of here.
The most obvious reaction to adversity is a trick of the old frequency. Each and every single time that you're presented with an unwanted condition of reality, whether it's a person showing you a side of them that you don't particularly like, whether it's feeling like your career is not progressing in the direction that you want, whether it's feeling like your health's not in the position that you want, your romantic life's not in a position that you want, your finances aren't in the position that you want, you have to understand the most obvious reaction to that particular degree of adversity is a trick of the old frequency, because the most obvious thing is default. Default what, Nero? The default energy that the old frequency thrives on. And the most unobvious, the hidden, within every particular condition of reality, there is a hidden seed of wanted frequency. When I say wanted, I mean the wanted reality. Now it's about your ability to move past the most obvious one, which is to be pissed off. Don't get it twisted. I get pissed off too, and I'll give you an example. I'll give you a real life example that used to stress me out. This nigga AJ will tell you, because he'll remember back at this moment in time when we was just recording short form content, mainly.
I know what's coming.
The HMRC.
Yeah.
So in the UK, we have something called the HMRC, His Majesty's Revenue Customs. The IRS is what you guys call it, the tax man. Now, me being a nigga, I didn't pay taxes for like 3 years, right? So then one day, I remember getting a letter come through the door. Boom! You owe thousands. Bro, I fell to my knees, man. I fell to my knees. I was like, oh my God. It was so bad, guys. Bear in mind, this is the same nigga that's in front of you guys teaching you this stuff all this time. The same nigga that reads all these books, right? This was like 2 years ago, right? I was so stressed. What did I look like, AJ?
I remember I came to film one time. Bro was just like, I don't know if I can do this. I was like, bro, what's wrong? He's like, nah, bro, don't worry about it. He was just so low. I was like, oh my days.
Right? I kid you not. I was grinding my teeth in my sleep. I'm a nigga that meditates for like 2 hours a day. And it's still, why? Because attention more powerful than intention. My attention was placed upon, oh my God, I'm finished. They're gonna come here, they're gonna take away all my books. They're gonna sell me on the black market. Like I'm gonna go to jail. They're gonna strip me of all the clothes that I have. It's over for me. My attention is more powerful than intention. I had the intention of transcending that particular condition of reality. So what did I do? First, I realized that I was focusing on the absolute worst conditions of reality. I was thinking it's over. I've messed up. Oh my God, it's like, I can't believe this. I don't have enough. Then my accountant was charging me, like, I love you, Dave. My accountant was charging me like 5 or 6 racks. I'm like, I don't even have that money. I'm thinking, I'm paying this nigga 5, 6 racks. I ain't even paid the tax man yet. How am I gonna get out of this? Then I began to realize that the most obvious reaction to adversity is a trick of the old frequency. The old frequency of mine in particular, growing up in the ends or the projects or whatever you guys call it, was one of survival and poverty. It was nothing but stress, worry, misery, and scarcity. That's what my old frequency was built off. It was built off the worry, the stress, the survival. And that's what it triggered me back into. I didn't even realize every time I had a letter come through the door, I'll just leave that bitch in a fucking post box. I won't even touch it. A whole week I won't even touch it. But then again, I began to realize these things about myself. So then the conclusion that I ultimately came to in that particular scenario was, I'm focusing on an unwanted condition of reality. Bear in mind, your attention / focus is a centralization of energy. That's a bar, write that down. Your focus is a centralization of energy. Centralization of energy. You're fixating your energy into one point. If you're to take a very powerful magnifying glass and shine a ray of light through it, that can start a fucking fire. Why? Because concentrated energy is powerful. All my concentration, my attention was on an unwanted condition. That set in motion a particular vibratory signature that was resonant with an unwanted condition. That set in motion a frequency that was resonant with an unwanted condition, and every frequency must turn into a reality. And I almost entered an unwanted reality where your boy got sold. It'd be no YouTube. I'll be washing dishes for the tax. But you have to understand what I did. The one conclusion I came to is that despite being in that particular scenario, the one thing that I focused on my mind every single time was that the only reason the taxman's coming after me is because I'm valuable at making money. And the more I began to centralize my attention to that, that is a wanted condition of reality. That set in motion the vibratory signature of a wanted reality. That essentially set in motion the frequency of a wanted reality. And that led to a wanted reality where I was able to make that money times 10, pay off the tax man easy. I didn't even have to pay that much in the end. Why? Because I first understood where it all began. And that was a very, very simplistic example. Now, whatever situation you're going through, I can't tell you what that hidden seed is going to be like. But the fact that you're here watching this and taking notes, and make sure you leave those notes in the comments as usual. The fact that you're watching this means that you're clearly a conscious individual who, and I believe you, I trust in you, who has the capability of finding that hidden seed of wanted reality and focus on it. Centralize all your attention on it, because once you begin to center, and see, this also works with beliefs. The moment you begin to centralize all your attention and energy and focus into that particular seed of a wanted reality, that sets in motion the vibration, that sets in motion the frequency, and that frequency has no choice but to become a reality. And this is really the game. This is really, really the game. Now, on the point of attention span, you have to understand, as I mentioned at the start, a decrease in your attention span means that we're not able to focus on the aspects of our lives that are meaningful. You being the most meaningful fucking thing in your life, and that's a bar that down. With all due respect, it's not your girl, it's not your guy, it's not your kids, it's not your mom, it's not your grandma, it's not your friends. The most meaningful and most important person in your reality is you. And I don't say that from a point of egotism and selfishness. I say that to energetically and metaphysically understand that the truth that your world reacts to you. And your prioritization of the frequency of others is ultimately what allows the frequency of others to structure your world, and you be the person who's always last. Let's borrow that down. Decrease in attention span kills all the meaningful things in your reality. It kind of depletes it. It quite literally destroys it. One of them being meditation. 2 simple things that you could do to increase, well, a couple easy things that you could do to increase your attention span. One of them is to read a book out loud. I know that sounds very, very silly, but literally read a book out loud. Take a book and read it out loud for a good 30 minutes or an hour. And as you're reading it, don't try reading your head. Read it out loud, because you're concentrating 2 aspects of yourself. You're concentrating on the verbal aspect of enunciating these words, then the visual aspect of you that has to focus while you're enunciating these words and the part out loud ultimately leads to a combination of 2 points of you being centralized. That is how you build focus on one aspect. The other is meditation. And I say that to say, most of us feel like meditation is something that is difficult to do because we think, oh, I can't focus. It's not about that. And here's the thing. Most people think that they have a problem focusing. Your problem is not realizing what you're focusing on already. Your problem isn't focus. It's unaware of the places in your life that you're already focusing on. You don't think you're fucking focusing as you're scrolling through TikTok and Instagram. You don't think that's focus? Nigga, sometimes AJ will send me shit, I'll send him shit, and then I'll be scrolling and I'll check the time, it's gone 2 hours. And it's like it transports you into a whole new world. But isn't that focus? What, you don't think you're focusing when you're playing games or when you're watching your TV shows or movies? You don't think that's focus? And ironically, something very dangerous happens once you begin to believe that you have a problem with focus. Emphasis on belief, because as it stated in the Hermetic tradition, all truths are half truths. This is the law of polarity. These are the foundations of the universe, nigga. I'm not giving you the best way to make your vision boards and all this other shit. I'm giving you principles of the universe that are above any particular human being in the same way that gravity is. So, to that point of what I was just saying, you don't have a problem focusing. Your problem is being unaware of the aspects of your life that you're focusing on. I repeat, you don't have a problem focusing. Your problem is being unaware of the aspects of your life that you're focusing on. Because then by the time you want to begin to focus on the aspects of your life that you do want to be more productive in, you've got no energy because you've just spent your time focusing on a whole bunch of things that you don't want. And the irony of it is this. The irony of it is this: you make the laws of your reality. There are no truths in reality other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. I repeat, there are no truths in reality other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. There are no truths in reality other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. So due to the fact that you make the laws of your reality, ultimately when you say, man, I can't focus. I just can't focus, man. I just can't focus. How many times do you say that shit without realizing that then if that's the truth that your subconscious mind accepts, then that will be materialized into your reality. So then when it actually comes to you trying to focus on your actual reality, you're struggling, not because you have a problem focusing, but because you have a problem with being unaware of where you're focusing on, and then you have a problem by setting in motion the energetic frequency that is resonant with a reality where you can't focus, not because you have a problem focusing and you've got ADHD or whatever you think you have, simply due to the fact that you have maintained that particular condition in your reality, which then your subconscious mind accepts as true. And understand this. Whatever the thinker thinks, the prover proves. And you're both the fucking thinker, you're both the fucking prover. If you think and maintain a particular belief that you can't focus, then you will prove it to yourself that you can't focus. You'll try to sit down and you think, fuck. Not because you have a problem focusing, because you don't realize the metaphysical and psychological wirings and foundations of yourself. And unfortunately, if you don't understand yourself, you don't understand reality, because reality and you are directly one. Every particular struggle that you have in reality is nothing more than a reflection of an internal struggle that you're unaware of to begin with. And it all begins with the thinker thinks, the prover proves. And that's from a book called Prometheus Rising. Another good book for you guys is The Power of Concentration, but I think it's like Thurnon Dumont, which is nothing more than an alias for William Walker Atkinson, who's the individual that wrote The Kabbalion. Another book called Mental Magic that he wrote, it's really good too. Whatever the thinker thinks, the prover proves. And you're both the thinker and you're both the prover. Now, the last thing that I'd like to highlight is this. And I kind of touched on this very, very lightly.
I've been watching Nero videos so much that I manifested an African guy that looks just like Nero last night. And boy, we had a time.
Boy, we had a time.
You get some of the best comments.
Real talk. I genuinely think I have the best comment section on YouTube. Because everybody in these fucking comments are highly conscious individuals, but they're fucking comedians.
So true.
You know what I'm saying? And I can't stand them spiritual niggas that can't laugh. I can't stand them. And I refuse to be one of them. I'm the most unserious, serious person you ever meet in your life. Quite literally. Like, some of you niggas think when you meet me, like, you have to be like, yeah, bro, like, yeah, frequencies, da 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 da. I'm like, what is this guy? What a shots at. Speaking of which, thank you to everybody for the alcohol, for the hangover remedies. We've got some real alcoholics in our section, you know.
Bro, I kept seeing it come up. I'm like,
Drink pickle juice,
everyone's
eat
giving different
bananas and
solutions.
salted crisps, take electrolytes, drink electrolytes while you're drinking. Guys, you don't know what you've done to me. This is going to help my career in alcohol drinking progress extremely far. Thank you. Now, one thing that I want to highlight in particular.
OnlyFans.
Of course you'd think that. Bro, you're salivating. Wipe him out. Your old frequency. You have to understand that your old frequency is quite literally an attention whore. Because your old frequency is an attention whore, it will purposely sway the events of your reality, the conditions, circumstances, events, and people of your reality to be and create one thing. It wants an emotional reaction. Because it wants an emotional reaction. I don't know why those two are capitals. That's not on purpose. It wants an emotional reaction because your energy is the most powerful source of reality. I repeat, your emotion is energy, and that's the most powerful source of reality. Your energy is your emotion, and that is the most powerful source of reality. And that's ultimately what your old frequency wants. It's an attention whore. So it will purposely make things go wrong in your reality, continuously make things go wrong in your reality to generate a particular degree of emotional reaction, because that emotional reaction is going to be resonant with emotions that it sustains of, and it's like a spiritual parasite. So it will create these events to create that particular reaction to get that energy. I have to get you to understand, when things are going wrong and reality presents you with the condition of reality, understand it is just a condition. It's not presenting you something that has gone wrong until you begin to focus on the unwanted aspect of that reality, that condition that associates with wrong. The moment you do that, your old frequency gets sustained and it gets maintained. And your old frequency ultimately wants to take you back to your reality. Like every single fucking spirit on the spiritual plane, every spirit wants to be materialized. Now, I'm not one for them church niggas who believe in those church theatrics where they're like, he's possessed, and they're shaking like that. But one thing that is true is that every spirit wants to be materialized, and the frequency, your old frequency, wants to be materialized into your reality by taking you actually back to your old reality or maintaining you there. So when it shows up, you have to begin to understand that within what it's trying to give you, there is a wanted seed of reality that if you can focus on it, I promise you. And I'll just give you some quick fire examples off the top of my head. So let's say you're a girl and you want a better relationship, but a guy you date for whatever reason is a fucking asshole and he's trash for whatever reason. Now, have you been given an unwanted reality? No, not until you believe and not until you begin to focus your attention to set emotion, the vibration, to set emotion, the frequency, and that sustains the reality. Something that you could focus on is the fact that you were able to attract the guy in the first place. Now, I know that sounds extremely simplistic, and I know that sounds extremely terrible, or you can focus on the aspects of that reality that were somewhat positive, reflecting of your true desired reality that you want to go in. But if you allow your attention to be encapsulated and captured by the fact that he's a fucking arsehole and men are trash and all of this and all of that, you will sustain that reality. That's just one off the top of my head, but I'm sure as a conscious individual, you'll be able to do better than me. Let's say that you're somebody in your business, for example, who's complaining about the fact that your business isn't growing the way that it wants and things have been quite stagnant and things might even be getting worse. You could focus on that aspect of reality, because those things in of themselves are neutral. It's not until you begin to look at that menu and choose that, even though you're saying, I want things to get better, I want things to get better, your attention is your alignment. Your attention is your alignment. Your attention, say it with me, your attention is alignment. Alignment with a particular vibratory signature, and every vibratory signature eventually gains momentum, becomes a frequency, and every frequency must become what, AJ?
Reality.
Bingo. You have to begin to focus on the aspects of that particular condition that reflect your desired reality, a wanted condition of reality. So instead of thinking, oh, business isn't the same as it used to be, you can focus on actually the moments in the past where business was amazing without comparing it to the fact of where it is now, which is inherently what creates this particular disconnect of negativity. You could also focus on the fact that you have customers that you love serving in the first place. You can focus on the fact that you have money coming in the first place, because here's the thing, your old frequency would make everything that I just said sound fucking stupid. It would be like, those things are so simple, those things are so stupid. Yes, it wants you to think that things are more complex, because the more complicated you think things are, the less likely you're going to have a particular degree of conviction in when you do it, and that's how it maintains. Not because any of those things are simple and they don't work, but simply because your old frequency is making you think that, so it can stay around, because it is a trickster. Now guys, please invest your attention. Build your attention spans up so you can centralize it to yourself. You're the most important thing in your reality.